Welcome back to The Mind of Brandon. Today we're going to continue our Bible study. As indicated by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about Isaac, the miracle son of Abraham. Now, in a previous video, I mentioned that Abraham's wife was barren. She could not reproduce. And so she suggested that he just impregnate her Egyptian handmaiden. So he went ahead and he impregnated this Egyptian handmaiden, and she gave birth to Abraham's first son, Ishmael. Then in the next chapter, the Lord went to Abraham and informed him that his barren wife would miraculously conceive and give birth to his second son, Isaac. So the story I'm about to tell takes place several years after the birth of Isaac. We don't actually know how old he is in this story. He could be 5, 14, 30. Yeah, we really don't know. We know he's old enough to walk, he's old enough to talk, and he's old enough to carry a bundle of wood up a mountain to be used for a sacrificial burnt offering, which is apparently supposed to be Isaac himself. The Lord has commanded Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. And so, Abraham, being a faithful devotee, he takes Isaac up on top of this mountain, straps him to a rock, he raises a dagger, he's about to kill Isaac, and then the Lord stops him. Wait, Abraham, don't do it! I was just messing with you, bro, just testing your faith. And Abraham has passed the Lord's test by proving his faithfulness and devotion with his willingness to sacrifice his son Isaac. So Abraham seems quite thankful that he doesn't have to actually go through with it. And so when he notices a ram caught in a thicket, he sacrifices that instead. Now, this scene with the ram in the thicket does appear to have perhaps been based on an earlier motif. This, of course, is something I've talked about quite a bit in previous videos, how certain motifs have been handed down to biblical tradition from pagan tradition. One of the pagan cultures I've talked about quite a bit are the Sumerians, who were responsible for the earliest written language known to us. In Sumerian artwork, there's several different sculptures and reliefs depicting a goat in a thicket. One of the Sumerian cities where we find a couple of these sculptures is the city of Ur, which, as I mentioned in an earlier video, is the hometown of Abraham. That said, in the chapter after Abraham almost sacrifices Isaac, but not quite, we find out that Isaac's mother, Sarah, has gotten very old and died. That's it. She gave birth to Isaac, she served her purpose, no point in having her in the story anymore. I know that sounds horrible, but I don't write this stuff, I just do the video. So anyway, in the next chapter, Abraham decides that a wife needs to be found for Isaac, but he doesn't want Isaac marrying one of the local Canaanite women, and this does appear to be up to Abraham. We don't really see what Isaac's say in the matter is. So, Abraham dispatches a servant to go back to his homeland. Abraham does like to marry in the family. Remember, Sarah was his half-sister. Right? So the servant goes and he finds a woman called Rebecca. And when he sees Rebecca, he's thinking, damn, this woman is fine. She's perfect for Isaac, right? So the servant goes and meets with Rebecca's parents and convinces them to, allow him to take Rebecca back to meet Isaac. When Isaac meets Rebecca, he thinks, wow, that woman is amazing, right? And so he takes her into a tent and she becomes his wife. The good old days where you just take someone into a tent and poof, make them your wife, right? Yeah. All right. So, in the next chapter, Abraham remarries, and this time his wife is not barren. She seems to be quite fertile, actually, giving him 6 more sons, bringing us to a grand total of 8 sons for Abraham. So he served his purpose. No point in having him in this story. He dies. Right? That's it. No more Abraham. And he's going to be buried by his 2 eldest sons, Ishmael and Isaac. So in the next chapter, we find out that Isaac's wife, Rebecca, is barren. She cannot reproduce. So Isaac prays to the Lord to do something about it, and he says, all right, fine, whatever. And so Rebecca miraculously conceives and gives birth to the sons Jacob and Esau. So just as Isaac was a miraculously conceived child, so are his sons Jacob and Esau. And let me tell you something, by the time we get to the Christian New Testament, this whole miraculous conception thing is going to start to seem pretty damn old, right? And that's something I got to warn you about when you're reading the Bible. It can be very repetitious and even downright dull. So there might be significant chunks of the Bible that you just want to skip if you're like reading it for yourself. And in our Bible study, in these videos I'm doing, we are going to be skipping significant chunks of the Bible. Right? Actually, there's a part that I did already skip that I do want to go ahead and go back to. It takes place after the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, which I talked about in the video just prior to this one. There's a story right after that where Abraham and Sarah go to a land called Gomorrah, and they meet a guy called King Abimelech. And I did want to tell you this story because I was talking about repetition in the Bible. I want to just give you a really good example of that. So when Abraham and Sarah meet this guy, King Abimelech, Abraham tells him that Sarah is his sister. He does not mention that Sarah is his wife. But when King Abimelech finds out that Sarah is his wife, he confronts Abraham about it. And, Abraham explains, well, I thought that if you knew she was my wife, that you'd kill me and you'd take her. And I didn't lie about her being my sister, because she really is my half-sister, right? And so, this story bears a striking resemblance to one that I talked about in my video called The Legend of Abraham. In there I talked about how, before Abraham was even called Abraham, he was just called Abram, and his wife was called Sarai rather than Sarah, right? And when the land of Canaan was in famine, they went to Egypt and they met the Pharaoh, okay? And so Abram told the Pharaoh that Sarai was his sister, did not mention that she was his wife. When the Pharaoh found out that Sarai was his wife, he confronted Abram about it. And Abram explained, well, I thought if you knew the truth, you'd kill me and you'd take her. And I didn't lie about her being my sister. She really is my half-sister, right? So we saw that story told there. And then later we see it retold with King Abimelech of Gerar in place of the Pharaoh. Well, guess what? We're going to see this story retold again with Isaac and Rebekah in place of Abraham and Sarah. So Isaac and Rebekah, when their land is in famine, they go to the land of Gerar. They meet King Abimelech. And it's Isaac who tells, King Abimelech that, Rebekah is my sister. He does not mention that she is his wife. King Abimelech finds out the truth. He confronts Isaac about it. Isaac explains, well, I thought that, if you knew the truth, that you'd kill me and you'd take her. Only this time, he cannot say that he didn't lie about her being his sister. He did lie. Rebekah is not Isaac's sister. She is his cousin. I think that's a good stopping point for that video. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Maybe even share it with other people. If you're interested in watching my future videos, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. In my next video, I will be returning to the subject of Isaac to discuss his son Jacob and the sons of Jacob. And that actually is going to conclude our discussion on the book of Genesis, the first book of the Holy Bible. So I do hope to see you all there. Thank you for watching. Peace, and have a good one.